So I was talking to your mother. Um, I don't know if it was la yesterday or last week, and she said, "So, I saw you and Jansen. How's Jansen doing?" She started asking about Jansen. I was like, "Oh, he's doing okay." She's like, "I saw you all have something on the internet." Did you see something that says we're recording? Hey Jan, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Good.
So, we're just gonna start by kind of recapping where we are. We're almost at the end of season two, a couple of more episodes. And how do you compare this season to last season? I almost start taking notes like I was at work when I said that. Like, how do you do it? Anyway, how do you compare this season to last?
Um, well, I think last season we had more trial and error than we do this time. Like I think we know um what we're doing except the last 2 weeks. I haven't been ready. I haven't been on time. So so that's kind of different. But I think we were just kind of feeling our way. Um, I think now we probably have it, down. So it's more natural. I don't think we have as many outtakes as we did
We
the
don't, and we don't, I don't stop the recording as much, or actually at
yeah,
all.
like we don't have as many outtakes. People just
Yeah.
realize like there's like ugh.
Yeah, and there's a way of talking to each other, but still talking to the public, that we had to master
Yeah.
and just, like, just at the beginning, just a start to it and an end to it so that, anybody listening knows that it's the end. And I just kind of chuckled there because, my friends who are deep, deep, deep into church, for some reason I've been singing songs from that Unity Baptist album that Ma used to play all
Oh
the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I was just singing a song, and I don't think anybody had ever heard it before because it was probably something that they wrote.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't
they
even
did
remember what
write a
the
lot of songs.
song. Yeah, I can't even remember what the song
Mm.
was, but we got on the subject of church, and I was like, well, that's how you know it's time to go because the pastor's talking in a certain cadence, and the music starts, so you're not there yet. And if everybody doesn't reminds their P's and Q's, we can be out of here in 15 minutes. So I feel like that's what we're doing, like at the end. So that like it's just now I think at first we just like the end. Now it's like a natural kind of ending, you
All
know,
right.
so people know that it's over and like, oh, did my computer freeze or whatever. So yeah. What do you think season three might look like if we come back for a third season?
I don't know. I think,
You know what I've been thinking?
what?
That we take one story that we've had and we expand on that story throughout the season.
That's an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna
Bye.
say that. Or like, I don't know, do people ever ask you, how come you all should talk about X, Y, and Z? Like, has that
Well,
happened?
I'm not as friendly as you are. So people can say stuff, but I'm not necessarily listening. Actually, to be honest, no one said you all should talk about X, Y, and Z because I don't know anybody nobody's commented on it that has
Okay, because
known
I just want
me
to
that
clarify that
long.
I don't want people to think like you're really just not listening to what they're saying.
No, no, I just don't think. But it's not been anybody like from high school or anything or
Oh
college.
yeah, no,
You all
no.
should say, because those would be the people who would say it because they would know stuff.
Oh, no, well, I was referring to like different topics.
No, I haven't had that. Have you?
Okay. Hmm.
Oh, then we should write those down. Maybe we could do some of those.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do a one or two of those this season, actually. We got a couple more episodes left,
Yeah.
and we can see, you know, what else we can do. So yes, I do, I'm not oblivious to people. I do listen, but no one said like, hey, you should talk about
Yeah.
this. Um, what they have said is like, you and your sister have really good chemistry. I'm like, well, that is my sibling though. So
Yeah, but I mean, from the work that I do like you is that's not a given.
I don't know if I would want to have lived life. And I guess I've met people like that aren't really close with anybody in their family. I mean, family is like an obligatory thing.
Hmm.
Um, that would have not been fun for me. Um, so I just couldn't imagine not really speaking to my sibling. I probably, I hope they never hear this. I probably could not necessarily speak to our parents as much, but I definitely would want, I definitely want to continue to speak to my sister. And
Well, but I was just going to say, but that actually kind of bears out. There are a lot of studies out there about family dynamics, and children actually are closer to their siblings than to their parents.
I can understand that.
Um, you know, especially, of course, the work that I do in child welfare, like there's a huge push to make sure that siblings are together. But that a lot of that is formulated in studies. And if I had known we were going down this road, I would have like pulled the information, the data.
Yeah. But that's the benefit of also doing one topic for the season was is
Yeah.
we'll get a chance to really dive deep into it and use data and references and all those things because I believe in references.
Well, actually I was going to say, so that's probably the part that people don't really get to see about us is the fact that we're really very research oriented data. Like we like that kind of stuff, just overall. Besides our sibling shenanigans, like we
Yeah.
we like the facts.
Yeah, I mean, give me some facts. I don't
Yeah.
really want to hear anything but facts. You talked about people talking about or giving you like some topic. What's a topic that someone has
Well,
mentioned?
honestly, mostly it's centered around the work that I do, but
Okay.
because people know that we both work in fields, yours not as much, but you have like worked in fields that impact children.
Yeah.
They like that has been a suggestion that we talk about like you know, what that looks like.
I like that idea.
Mhm.
I mean,
And
first of
some
all,
information that people probably don't know about, like different systems that impact children, even their own children, and
yeah,
what that looks like.
yeah. Um, I'm a big proponent of getting more people of color into teaching.
Hmm.
I know it's not necessarily the biggest thing in Detroit because, when we grew up, I tell everybody like all my teachers were black. Like for the mo until I got to high school, but most people don't experience that. And
Hmm.
the data shows that a student, regardless of race or ethnicity, who has one black teacher is more likely to go on to college or graduate
Hmm.
from high school, excuse me. And if you have two, you're more likely to go to college. So that's data.
Hmm.
So yeah, I wouldn't mind doing a show on that. And I have a lot of data on it as well. Did you get any negative feedback?
No, but I think that people wouldn't really, I mean, even if I wanted them to, they wouldn't really, you know.
Um, yeah.
You
I
got
mean,
some negative feedback?
no,
Oh,
no.
yeah.
I mean,
Like,
I
I
was
mean,
trying
like
to think, did
I
I?
really, I really wanted somebody to like give some kind of, constructive, feedback or whatever, like what we could do better. The only thing that people always say is like, you all are funny.
I did get some feedback after season one. So somebody I know who, does podcasting as one of his many streams of income was
Hmm.
like, why are you all release all the episodes at one time? You got to let the momentum build.
Oh yeah, because that's what we did the first time.
Yeah. So that was some constructive feedback.
Hmm.
Um, and then so this year, this season we didn't. We
Well,
released
and I can tell though because the people that have subscribed,
yeah.
often will say, "Oh, the new episode is out." Like, like so that's a good thing.
And we do have some. I meant to share with you because I was looking at the data yesterday for the show. Our most watched or listened to show is the one on dating.
Really?
That's what I said. And I was telling somebody that, and I was like, that's so not us.
And well, especially I'm surprised for me because I'm not currently dating. Like, why?
But leaps and bounds, that gets the
Really?
episode. Yes. So either that's the kind of stuff people like to hear, or they want to know what we're going to say, or it's a lot of people over 50 who are looking for
Well, yep,
companionship.
I think it probably is all of of the above. I think that people that are over 50, it's over 60 and over are like navigating new lives. Because kids are like finally grown and gone, like for real gone,
Yeah.
gone. They may be changing careers or they may be ending careers. Um, and they may find themselves like um, single or widowed or divorced or like, because, I mean, more people than not put their lives kind of on hold, like after a divorce.
Mm,
Uh, if they had, minor children and that then became their focus, or you're like, I only got 5 more years before I can retire. I'm just gonna knock that out and then I'll still. So I can see that, like people, I think we're all trying to transition. The other thing is all of us don't have a lot of good models as far as what it looks like after 50
mm.
and 60. Um, living the kind of lives that we have lived with our, with our the ages that our children are. I mean, when I think about our own parents, like they were done like like ages ago. Like they were done. They were done. They were like, oh, whew, graduated from high school, we're done.
Yeah, that was the pinnacle was graduating from high school and going on to college. I don't know if graduating from college was a deal though.
I mean, I think
You
it
had
was,
to
but I
go,
think
but nobody was like, you better graduate.
yeah, I mean, I think it was a thing, but I don't know that the generations, and again, I'm not talking about everybody's parents, but but I think that that was a thing. Like, the biggest thing was, getting people to high school and then to college. But for the most part, like, I mean, I hear even my peers talk about their parents telling them, you better figure it out. I know that our parents, our mother in particular, was like that. Well, I don't know what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Whereas we haven't raised our children like that.
We haven't, and sometimes I think about that maybe I should have been a little bit more like that. because I'm gonna still help them kind of figure it out and you know,
Yeah.
you're in the bad place. Only because I've been in those bad places and then had to figure it out.
Well, and the truth of it, I think because the other thing is the more educated you become too. We know that you may be 20, 21, 22, but you are not fully developed in your
Right.
maturation process yet.
Yeah.
So so you do still need some help figuring some stuff out.
I tell people that you say this or you said this, like your body's still changing at
Oh
that
yeah.
age.
Hmm.
You know, you can look at a 25-year-old who thinks that they're the epitome of epitome, and they have a totally different body by 35.
Hmm.
You're like, your body's still changing, so life's
Yeah.
still changing for you.
Yeah.
You know, my thing with my own children is I used to say and still say, you can make mistakes, but don't make the same mistakes I've made because
Right.
I already know how it turns out. You know, but sometimes they want to just still make that mistake. And I
Yeah.
guess I got to learn how to say okay instead of just interjecting in like, no, don't do it. You're not going to be, this is not the move.
Yeah. I mean, the saying is it's not experience is the best teacher, it's somebody else's experience is the best teacher.
Oh,
But most people don't like, let me not say most people, but people don't really in by far, like when you're in your 20s, you're like, yeah, that was 100 years ago. I don't know. Like people don't even do that. I'm like, it's the same story. It's the
it's
same
the
story.
same story over and over again. I remember getting divorced and being rather young, I thought. And my saying, well, you know, the same thing out there today is going to be out there tomorrow. I can't say she was wrong. It's just that I'm not out there to see it.
Right.
But it's the same thing. So it's the same stories over and over and over again. So yes, it may have been 100 years ago, but there's still some dynamics of that story
Hmm.
that are timeless, which is why you can watch an old movie and relate to a movie from, 1920 and relate to it today
Hmm.
because it's a thing that happens. It's a thing
Yeah.
that's going on. Um, so no negative feedback. You
I
had
haven't, no.
positive feedback other than we're crazy or you are.
No, like people, so I do get positive I actually get quite a bit of positive feedback. Like they feel like it's really good. Like people don't understand, like I mean, we're putting it on a podcast and all of that, but this is really how we interact with one another
Yeah,
all the time.
yeah, yeah.
Less the facts, although sometimes we do interject facts in
Sometimes,
our
sometimes.
conversation. So,
So I do have to tell you, and I don't think I have. So I was talking to your mother. Um, I don't know if it was la yesterday or last week, and she said, "So, I saw you and Jansen. How's Jansen doing?" She started asking about Jansen. I was like, "Oh, he's doing okay." She's like, "I saw you all have something on the internet." So I guess she's been on Facebook. Did you publicize this on Facebook? Or maybe Jansen did? I don't know.
Jansen might have done the one
With him on it, right? Because
yeah.
that's the one she saw. I wanted to say we've been doing this. This is our second season.
And she knows, but I guess it just came real to her when she saw it.
Yeah. So I think because Jansen was on it and she hadn't
Mhm.
seen him in a while, she's like, oh, okay, well, okay, I gotta. Like, she didn't ask me what it was or anything like that. So I just know that she knows it's out there in the ethos to experience for people. So I just thought that was interesting and kind of funny. What haven't we said about Washburn? I think Washburn in itself might be a season because just the demographic change of Washburn from in our childhood, um, Like I do remember that one white family, because their daughter was in my kindergarten class, and
Who?
they lived on they lived on Washburn, but in the next block at the corner.
Oh, okay.
So she was in my class for kindergarten. They were gone by first grade. And I think that was probably like the last family that I remember in either of those two blocks at least.
I
And we
mean,
didn't necessarily cross Pilgrim very often.
well, but remember, so you don't remember, I do, that at one point there were only three black families on
I mean,
Washburn.
and I've heard those,
And
but
we
by
were
the
yeah, we were one of the three. But I think by the time we became school age, like all of that dynamic had, had changed.
that's a
And
lot
then
of movement.
remember, who was the older white lady whose husband was in the wheelchair that used to do the cookies? Do you remember that? Like on that corner house?
I do, but
Like
I
on the
don't.
Pilgrim, like Washburn and Pilgrim?
I remember, but I don't
I
remember.
can't
I mean,
remember
I
her
can't
name.
re
It's
Were they at the
Mrs.
very corner?
Mm-hmm. Yep, and he used to sit out, on the I'm sure honestly that their kids, because they had adult kids and grown kids and stuff and grandkids and stuff. I'm sure they wanted them out of that neighborhood, but she was so kind and she would make like the cookies and have lemonade and she had essentially the Kool-Aid house.
Hmm. I remember, but I can't quite. It's kind of fuzzy in my memory, but I kind of remember that. But I do remember.
I mean, there were a few left. Like it wasn't a lot, but
So I
once.
mean, and there's, we can look it up. I mean, those are things you can look up and find
Mhm.
out and see who moved in when and who moved in where and just kind of what it looked like. But if that happened in the time span of 4 years, that's a lot of moving. That's a lot of moving parts. It's a lot of moving just to be away from Black people.
Well, and that's the discussion to begin to have. And our parents being like the youngest.
Hmm.
Like, so that was a whole new thing. Like now you have these young couples coming, having their young kids and all of that. Um, but that really is a discussion to have because I do remember, yeah, with like, more white kids on the block. And then even my first year, so my kindergarten year,
Hmm.
even though there were probably a lot of black kindergartners, the rest of the school was predominantly white.
Hmm.
So yeah, you definitely can begin to see, the change, like the teachers, like
Hmm.
all of that. You know, I
Yeah,
mean,
so that might be something we want to dive into a little bit as people are talking about gentrification, because gentrification in itself happens when these white people have left this neighborhood basically because to fend for itself, they didn't want you around. So
right.
they left. Now they want to come back in. So these
Mhm,
are the same neighborhoods that they left a generation ago.
mhm.
So, and what that means. And did all of it would be interesting to know if all the economics went with them when they went out to the suburbs. I mean, of course, there were a lot of things that happened. They built stores and malls and all that sort of life for them. But was it at the same rate as it was when you live in a city? So that would be interesting. That's an interesting topic. Anything else that we haven't said about Washburn?
Mm, I don't know. I would
You
have to think
know,
about it.
I Washburn, when Jansen was on, we talked about moving. I
Mhm.
never moved. So I lived in the same house my entire life.
I did not, but I don't recall. I mean, I know that I I know that I was in some other place before we got to Washburn, but I don't have any memories of that other place.
Yeah. So, it was really foundational for me because I remember when I sold the house, she called to tell me that she was going to sell it.
Well, yeah, she asked us first if we wanted it.
Yeah. Um, that answer was no. Had I lived in Detroit, maybe, but also I would be like, is that house still getting broken into all the time? Because I don't want to have
Yes.
to deal with
The
that.
person that bought it at right after her was a single person by themselves. That's why she ended up selling it because, you know, why I don't know why there's a door on the side of the house, like that side door. Like there's no neighbor or anything.
Right.
Like it's just out in the open. Um,
But
and then
it wasn't always no neighbor.
what are you saying?
I'm saying before that they split that block. I mean, the block actually ends where Jansen's old house was.
Right.
But by the lodge going at a diagonal, it split through. So it was a lot more neighbors before they built the
Oh,
freeway.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
And I'm sure all the houses kind of looked alike. I mean, there's usually in a block or two, you can see, okay, these three houses had the same builder because of the
Hmm.
same floor plan in these
Hmm.
houses, but the house. So I'm sure that it probably, um, had an identical house next to it.
Hmm.
Um, okay, well, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
What have you liked the most about doing the show? These are our rapid fire questions, by the way. What have you
Yeah,
liked?
well, I figured when you say wrap it up, like, like we're coming to the end.
Yeah.
Actually, I like that we get this like as a shared experience for us.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, that's what I like the most. Like I know like each week, we're going to, have our little you know, thing that we do. I like the fact that this is a project that we're working on together, whether anything happens with it or maybe not, or maybe somebody discover it 50 years from now and be like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Does
So
your daughter watch it?
I know that she watched the first season for sure. I don't know if she watches this season.
I at least one of my sons mentioned something about it. Like he said something that he would have had to watch the show to know.
Hmm.
And I looked, and he was like, "Oh, I've been watching." I was like, "Okay." Okay. And I just left it at that. Um, what do I like about the show? I like that we get to spend this virtual time together.
Hmm.
So I do like that. Um, I mean, I like the creativity of it and just being more
Hmm.
creative and things we do or things we want to do. Is there anything you would change?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I would have to think about that. I don't know. I mean, I would like to incorporate a few more guests on the show.
Yeah, I like when we have guests.
Um, yeah, I mean that probably it's not necessarily it's not really a change, but like, more. Um,
My concern for the guests is does it do they need it to do something for them like exposure or anything like that? Because we may get, 50 people who watch. So it wouldn't be a big exposure if that's something that they're looking to do.
yeah, but I think I mean, for me, it's just this is not that platform. Like,
Right.
you gotta, figure something else out.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'd like to have more guests also. Do you talk to anybody from Washburn?
I don't.
No, me either.
I don't. I mean, I'm Facebook friends with a few of the people. I do know that they used to do like a Washburn reunion every
Mm.
year. I never went. I heard it was really nice, so I did hear it was really nice, and like they get like everybody, you
Mm.
know, like comes back or whatever. Um, you know, I don't know if they're still doing that.
Was that pre-pandemic?
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of things.
Hmm.
We still haven't gotten back to a lot of things that we did pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay, Shamuk. Well, that's it for today.
Seemed like it was really quick.
It was, but we had technical difficulties as well. I did stop the clock during the technical difficulties, though.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So just to make sure that we were kind of on par. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Today? No,
Mhm.
no, not
Okay.
really.
Okay, then everybody should.
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier, but subscribe, like, and share.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.